All right, let's do this. Let's fucking go. This is the Outlaw Apostle Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Neff. I'm the fucking guy. And I'm also the fucking guy who did not think that I'm going to need something to drink. Dawn! Dawn! That might not work. I was hoping so. This is going to be bad. But let's go anyways, all right? Let's get started today. Confrontation after confrontation. Now, for like about a week, these escalations have escalated out of control with people attacking ICE agents and thinking it's okay or that they somehow have a right to do it or interfere. You know, the video I'm looking at right now is showing doctors pushing up against an ICE agent. Let's check out the story because this is just insane, man. All right. California clinic staffers seek to shield ICE agents from detaining Honduran landscaper. California medical workers physically blocked. These people need to be, I don't know if they're being arrested or not. I honestly don't. And if they're not, they should be, because it's illegal what they're doing. It's illegal to stop law enforcement from doing their job and interfering in this way. And if you don't like what ICE is doing, go to Congress, protest to Congress. They make the laws. Let that be the thing. All right. So California medical workers physically blocked ICE agents reported a kidnapping during the arrest of an illegal Honduran immigrant. Illegal immigrant. Let's make sure I throw that in there, because I always will, because they like not to use illegal immigrant or illegal alien, because they like to, mix it all up, and so you're confused, but we're not confused. It doesn't really fuck with us, really. Staff at the California Surgical Center were captured on video trying to block immigration and customs enforcement. You don't even have a warrant for him. They're always saying that. And you know what? Here's the thing. They go out to make these apprehensions, and they go out to do that, and they have warrants. Now, if a place they're going to, they have a warrant to go into, and they have, certain people that they're looking for. Here's the thing that they told us was going to happen. They are looking for the criminals first. But if you're an illegal alien hanging with criminals, guess what's fucking going to happen to you? You're going to be targeted too. You're going to be picked up along with them, because you're not supposed to be here. We were promised the biggest mass deportation in history, right? That's what we were promised. And that's what we want, and we hope to get it. And that's what they're trying to implement now. And if they think this is bad, it's going to be even crazier. And it gets this way because they don't cooperate. They always said, look, hey, cooperate with us, right? And we won't have to bring as many people. We can pick people up at the police station. But because they're not doing that, then we get this dumb shit that we're getting now. It's just absolutely insane. And that I believe, I don't have it to pull up with me right now, and it's just me. My buddy is gone. My buddy is on a little bit of vacation. So I don't have I wish I had the video or the story to pull up right at the moment, but there was an ICE agent that was shot too. So and we had that earlier, what they picked up 10 suspects, I believe, 10 suspects of people that were armed, loaded, ready for bear and going after ICE agents. And you wonder why they're masked. It's so arrogant and condescending for people to keep throwing that out there when they're being personally attacked, when their families are being targeted, when their homes are being targeted. Nah, no. These are laws that Congress passed. That's it. There's no depressed here. I don't even know what that means. So I'm just looking at a comment on there. It's so funny. Somebody makes a comment because what? I don't respond. You leave. Yeah. Good riddance. That's how that works. get your hands off of him. One staff member said, let him go. You need to get out. You know, they do not have the right to do that. And exactly as I said, it says here in the article, the ICE officers conducted a targeted enforcement operation to arrest 2 illegal aliens. Officers in clearly marked ICE bulletproof vests approached the illegal alien targets as they exited a vehicle. One of the illegals, Dennis Gonzalez, who is from Honduras, fled on foot to evade law enforcement. He ended up near the Ontario Advanced Surgical Center, where hospital staff assaulted law enforcement and drugged the officer, an illegal alien, into the facility. Then the staff attempted to obstruct the arrest by locking the door. That not only should these people go to jail, these fucking people should lose their jobs as well. That's just total insanity that they would do this. And again, they had warrants. Javier Hernandez, executive director of Inland Coalition for Immigrant Justice, told the Associated Press the agency eventually arrested the Honduran man following the struggle inside the clinic. So they didn't stop ICE. They didn't stop them. You can't stop them. You can't legally stop them, right? So this is just crazy. It's insane. And we're seeing this. Another incident on Tuesday. ICE agents wielding batons outside the San Francisco Immigration Court. Protesters showed up there because they have these systems now where if something's going down in Los Angeles, they're notifying people. These people are showing up and then assaulting the ICE agents, trying to stop them from making the arrest that they are legally allowed to do. Okay, nobody's kidnapping fucking anybody. Nobody is sending people to Auschwitz. I'm so sick of it, and they keep continuing on and on and on with this Nazi bullshit, and it's just totally demeaning to the Jewish people, and how bad and how just incredibly horrific the Holocaust was, because this is nothing like that. Detaining people in an air-conditioned tent so that they get their due process and then are sent back to their home country or whatever country they're sent to. That's how it's supposed to work. But this idea, like, what, that has to be a brick building or something, or they're being fed to alligators, that's people just fucking around trolling you if you believe stupid shit like that. Nobody is doing it. Or I've seen slavery. This is Trump's plan to bring back slavery. Nobody's trying to bring back slavery. Not even us awful fucking MAGA people. Not even us. But you know what I do need to do? I need to figure this out. So stay with me for just a second. I'm going to run and grab something to drink and be right back. All right. I am back, and you stayed with me. You people are awesome. You two people. All right, slide. There we go. So look at my Thrive water. This is alkaline water, and I've been drinking this, I don't know how many years now, but pretty much ever since Thrive came out with this, or Lavelle. Lavelle is the company. Thrive is their supplement product line, and I drink at least one of these every day, sometimes more, as part of my hydration consumption for the day. Just a good thing to do. Just a good thing to do. So that's one of the big things here. I don't understand the reporting though. Why are we not being told more about what's happening to these people? Is nothing happening to these people? I'm tending to think not, because wouldn't that be part of the story? Wouldn't it be part of the story here that, after this person was, this illegal alien was arrested, and that the people that tried to interfere with ICE, that that these people were arrested? And it's bullshit. Look, they can say, I don't like it, but they can say that local law enforcement is not going to help ICE, but they have a duty to protect them and to enforce the law. They have a duty that when people do stupid shit like this, that they get arrested. Cops should be there for that. And actually, picking up a couple comments, we usually don't get to do this. Lake and Riley, yes. I'm telling you, I'm 100% with you on that. And, that's something that we continue to forget, and we're not going to let them forget. We're going to bring that up. You, there are these bad people. Are all of these people bad people or committed crimes? Well, they did commit one, or in most cases, two crimes if they're working, right? The first crime was coming here illegally. The second crime was, if they're working, they're using some stolen social security number. That's what they're doing. That's the only way it can be done. I thought we had systems in place some years ago that where employers could run people through the system to make sure they weren't illegal aliens. I thought we had a system like that. And I believe we do. The problem is we hadn't been enforcing the laws. Look, the biggest thing they tried to say, well, Trump helped kill that immigration bill last year. And he did because it wasn't a good bill. All right. It wasn't a good bill. And without any significant law changes, yeah, he's used some executive orders, but his executive orders really directed the government, the DHS, the ICE, Border Patrol, directed them to enforce the existing laws. That's all he's done, is say, these laws that we've been ignoring, we're going to enforce them now, and start doing that. And with that alone, look, we had, what was it, last month? Last month, zero catch and release. And we were getting 100,000, 150,000 catch and release, and more. And then we didn't even know how there were so many. There's some that were just the gotaways too. I mean, everything is way, way down. And that's because the policies of enforcing the existing law are working. Fewer people are even attempting to cross now. All of that is what this country needs to protect its borders. It's not a hatred for immigrants. It's not a hatred for any specific racial group that's trying to cross the border. And look, explain to me this. If you have been here 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, why haven't you tried to go about and do things the right way and get some type of legal status, getting a work visa or whatever, to start, or whatever that process is? There's immigration attorneys everywhere. There are people that specialize just in immigration law. Why not do that, right? That's all I'm saying. Like, just we want people to be vetted to come here legally. We have a problem now with people, that Iranians that have crossed the border illegally. And I think, what was it? Half of them recently were detained. Out of like 1,500, half of them were detained and released. And that means the other half weren't. So there were like 1,500 of them that had come across the border that were on the terrorist watch list. And, being on the terrorist watch list, I don't know that makes you guilty, but it did make them targets to, hey, these are people you want to keep an eye on. And we did that. And kind of weeding them out because we're worried about Iranian cells. We're worried about an attack again on our soil. And we need to do what we can to protect that. So it's not just about, somebody seeking a better life. And I can understand wanting to do that. We're not people who have no compassion or empathy at all. But I don't have compassion or empathy for people who are abusing the rules, trying to cut in line, because it became a whole system, right? It became a whole system where people here were teaching people who wanted to come here how they could go to a port of entry instead of trying to sneak across. They could go to a port of entry, claim asylum, and what things they had to say so that they would at least get to stay for a little while and then be released. And then how many of those people ended up being no-shows? So if you did that, if you claimed asylum and then and you were released here in this country, and then following that, you decided not to show up to your asylum hearings, I'm sorry, I don't feel bad for you that you're getting deported. You didn't do what you were supposed to do. And we have a right to enforce that stuff in this country. And it's not out of some kind of hatred for people or some racial bullshit that we want to see that happen. It's because we want to protect our country. Okay. Yes, we have bad Americans who do bad shit. We do. But we don't need to let people in who are known criminals, and we could find that out, but we don't. That's not an acceptable thing. So, and it just seems too that the further we have gone now, and some of these different federal district judges who have tried to clamp down on how many different parts of President Trump's agenda, that's what they've tried to do. How many of those, as it's gotten higher up and closer to the Supreme Court, have had those things overturned, or the Supreme Court has overturned them as well? And the percentage is high in favor of Trump. Trump is winning these cases, going through the court process. If Trump was a dictator, would he care about going through the court process? We say the dumbest things, and words mean things. And things are so toxic now and continue to be so toxic. And look, I admit I participate in it too. But things are so toxic now that there's just no real conversation or debate. People attack us, attack MAGA, and then we just attack back. That's what we do. So that's let's see what else we got. But that was a big one I was thinking of for today. And I spent the other day, the last show, talking about my Phoenix Mercury. Yeah. So a bunch of away games coming up right now for the Phoenix Mercury. I just got this T-shirt at the last game. I have a Sabali shirt, but Thomas had her highest scoring game as a pro, and she's really a good player. And Sabali and Copper were out, so it was we had two of our star players sitting. We had a new addition to the team. Bonner's now with us, and they did really good, finishing it off, and we had a great time watching on Wednesday with kids from camps came to the game. They did that across the WNBA in several places. They had that going where they give these tickets to these kids in camps, and they come and have a good time and yell, and it gets real loud in there. But we had a good time, and it was against the number one team, so that was definitely a lot of fun. What Dawn and I have been doing, and it's going to continue to be a story. I can't remember people talking about the WNBA prior to this on a regular basis, and you could take from that whatever you want, but it is happening now. And whether people are saying good things or bad things, or whether they're being positive or negative, they're still talking about it. They're still talking about it, which is really what matters most. So we had that confrontation. What else? What do I think of Mamdani, the Democratic nominee for mayor of New York City? What do I think of that? I think it's really crazy. I'm not surprised that young people, it's kind of cyclical at, every, 20 or 30 years or whatever, that young people become infatuated with being anti-government, with being, pro-communist type ideas. And this guy is a communist. I mean, he can't say that he's not, because in his interviews, he has used words that were word for word sayings and beliefs of Karl Marx. Like the big one that he said that we have on video was him saying seizing the means of production. So that's when the government comes in and takes over a business, an industry to operate it. And I don't know what, fuck the shareholders. Just the government's going to operate it. And there's no place where they've done that well. Curtis Lewa, that's feel the steel commenting on here. Yeah, Curtis Lewa has been around for a long time. Somebody that cared about protecting New Yorkers. And I mean, I don't know, how old is he now? He's got to be old like me, doesn't he? But yeah, always a good person, always somebody, and like I said, believing in protecting people that couldn't protect themselves. And I don't know what the answer is, but I know what the answer is not. The answer is not communism. And I'd really be shocked if he were to win. Is it possible? Anything is possible. I look at Gavin Newsom right now and the things that he's saying on X, and I see him almost daily. And he is right now, how like he started his podcast and he was moving to the right. Well, I'm not 73. 57 is old enough, brother. But he was moving a little bit towards the center with some of the comments that he's made, Governor Newsom, on his new podcast. But here recently, within the last couple weeks, he has really online in his comments and criticism has moved to the radical far left. And here's how presidential politics work. This happens in both parties, that whoever becomes the main candidate, their first job is to secure the base. And then, so that means going to the right, and it means going to the left for the liberals. And then, especially around the convention time or before that, if you know who's won, then they're going to try to moderate a little bit so that they can be the president of all the people, and they move a little bit with their comments to the center, right? That's what it does. So that's what we see happening here with Governor Newsom. He's moving far left to secure that base. Here's the problem that he's going to have, though. That left lunatic fringe is not going to allow him to move to the center. And we're in the first year of Trump's term. Okay. We have so many things to fix and do and focus on. Do we really want to focus on 2028 presidential politics? But, the Democrats are in total disarray. But it's just something I noticed about Governor Newsom and what he's doing now, that it's just my belief that he's not playing his cards right, that, I thought he was doing it right, even though I don't like him. I thought his best move was the things he was doing when he started his podcast, that he was reaching out, talking to people of different views, even people like Charlie Kirk, and having them on his show, and saying things like that it was unfair for men to be playing in women's sports. But yet we see his actions since that time and what's gone on in California, and it hasn't backed that up. He hasn't backed up his words as governor to protect women. And now that we've had the decisions we've had by the court, absolutely, you're going to see that kind of stuff enforced more. And I can't wait for that to be done. That it was just so wrong what was being done to women, and taking away uh, their time to shine, their time to compete against other women, to be competitive. And that's what it's about, just like with the WNBA. Now, it's not the same game as the NBA. It is but it is enjoyable to watch. We've had a good time watching it, because could a college basketball team beat, a men's team beat most of the WNBA teams? Yeah, they could. Maybe even the best, the better high school teams could do that. That's been shown before in soccer and in other sports like that. But that just shows why they need to have their own. And when their own best is competing against each other, it's just as exciting as it is when men are doing it. And I'm a girl dad, so that's I raised my daughter and loved sports and participating in sports, and she played with boys, because at the time we didn't have enough girls to have in our area of Northwest Ohio. We didn't have enough girls to have a travel team, and so she played on a travel boys team. But that was at an age where she was able to do that. That wasn't at 14 or 15. Could she have done that in high school? Possibly. But there comes a time when it's just not possible. But again, it was our choice and hers to play against the boys. It wasn't being forced upon the girls having, a guy come in and dominate them. So different roles, maybe you think that's okay, or maybe not, but we did, and it was actually great. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. We need the help here. I've been grinding at this for a little over a year now with this podcast, and I know what it's going to take, and it's hard. Like, it's hard just because life is hard, and doing this podcast is hard. Creating an audience is hard. You know, I made a mistake, but it's a mistake that I have to live with, and that mistake is I should have done this a long time ago, when it wasn't as popular as it is today. It would have likely been easier to build up an audience during that time. There was less noise. And the experience that I had was being a morning talk show host in Toledo for 4 hours. I started out just doing a Saturday morning talk show about money, because I was a financial advisor. And then I went to doing an hour at noon. And I hated being on. Honestly, I hated being on at noon Eastern time, because that's when Rush Limbaugh was on. And I absolutely love Rush. He saved AM radio at the time, and one of the greatest talk show hosts of all time. Um, so I'm a big fan of Rush. He's what helped me fall in love with doing radio and stuff like that. And so then I got a chance to do mornings, and I think we did 7 to 9 maybe is what we did starting out. And then it went to 6 to 9, and then eventually 6 to 10, 4 hours every morning. And that's before I went into the office and did work. And that's a lot of time to fill on radio. Now it's a little bit different than doing a podcast, because you just don't Podcast, you don't really get breaks unless you're, pre-recording it. But doing this live, I'm used to live. I love live. Um, but there's definitely some similarities, but definitely some differences as well. But I just fell in love with it. And I did it for me and my focus at the time. And I don't know if that same style is going to work doing this. Um, like I said, I started out talking about money. Then I talked sports. I followed the Pittsburgh Steelers are my team, and I covered the Pittsburgh Steelers. I was able to get a press pass and go in the locker room and for a few years and be able to report on the Pittsburgh Steelers. It was a dream. It was an absolute dream. It was fantastic. We would talk to UFC fighters, uh, the whole UFC coaches and the show that they had. We talked to people on other reality shows when they would get kicked off, things like that. Authors, some of the biggest conservative and liberal authors at the time I had on my show. The only pretty much like I got to interview everybody at least one time, and it was just fantastic. But it was things that interested me. So what I talk about, it may not interest you. You know what I'm saying? It just, but that's okay. But this is what I know how to do, and how I know how to do it is I'm just trying to pull in people who are people that are people that love sports, they love our country, they love God, they love family, that they just want to be able to live their life. And, I've talked about in the past, and I have other podcasts where that's available. My story is available, my story of addiction and being an alcoholic and sharing that. I want to continue to, on whatever platforms I use, to be able to also reach out to people struggling with those kinds of things. Now my business is helping people with their hormones, helping men feel better, getting their testosterone levels where they should be, helping people lose weight the right way, that kind of stuff. No way, you're black and gold, man. All right. I love it. I love it, man. And even though I'm a Steelers fan, we still, for the first time, are going to be season ticket holders this year for the Arizona Cardinals. Dawn and I just love football, and we're going to have a good time doing that. But even when we're at the games, we might have my phone there with the Pittsburgh Steeler game on if it's being played at the same time. But that's looking forward to doing that stuff. But it's about being authentic. And we want to do more interviews, and we're trying hard to work on that. It hasn't worked out exactly so far the way I would. We've had a few really, really good interviews and good people on the program, but I want there to be more on a regular basis. And then we just started, we just started not long ago going live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, because what I wanted to be able to do is be able to talk about current events and not talk about current events on Sunday and have it posted on Wednesday. I wanted to be relevant to that particular time. And of course, I hope people go back and watch other videos or whatever too. But that we want to definitely do that. We want to do our interviews and post them. And then we started something else new, and we just recorded the first couple of videos. The first one is supposed to drop tomorrow, but we recorded 2 the other day. Man, this week has gone by so fast, super, super fast. But we did 2 reaction videos. My reaction, Leo has been with me long enough now that he really has a sense of who I am and what I'm trying to do and the things I like and like to talk about and am very passionate about. And so he selected a few videos, and in this particular case, they were on peptides and GLP-1s. And one video is 15, 20 minutes. The other one's about 30 minutes, where you and I watch the video together for the very first time, and I comment on it. And we had a lot of fun doing that. I hope that adds people here and creates an interest here. Is that what as well? You know, I'm just a regular guy who's been through some shit that's never given up. That's my main thing. I've never given up. That I've been to a place in my life where I've lost everything, and I talk about that. And instead of curling up in a little ball and being a little bitch, um, which I did for a minute, for a short minute, you know, maybe it was a couple months, but then I fought through that. So I understand, when somebody might go through a period of depression like that, right? And so I did that, and I fought back, and after losing a multi-million dollar business and almost $1 million a year income, and pushing a wheelbarrow. I talk about that all the time, for $15 an hour under the table, to building back this consulting business now that I have, that's been very successful and continues to grow. But it was all because I didn't quit. And just sharing that experience, um, I know I've helped inspire other people, other men, because they tell me so. They tell me so. And I'm not trying to do that necessarily directly as a goal. I hope that it does, but I don't think I'm special. And I'm just trying to show that I'm not special and they can do it too. I'm just trying to share my story so that other people can say, you know what, that kind of clicks with me. And everything, you don't have to believe everything I believe to follow me, man. I just want y'all to think. And I want us to be able to share ideas and get back to a point where we can at least agree to disagree, right? Agree to disagree. Absolutely, brother. Appreciate you so much today. Yeah, I mean, you can see my prodigal son. I wear it on me as a reminder that, as a late teen, I think I was 17 maybe when I truly came to Christ and made Jesus my Lord and Savior. I went to church, years before that with my family and stuff, but really making the choice on my own to be a Christian and to follow Jesus and to ask for forgiveness of my sins and believe that he died on the cross for those sins and that there was nothing I could do. Um, but that he could, and to accept that. And then, I had some periods because of the alcoholism and addiction that, I went off the reservation. I didn't want to listen to God. I wanted to do what I wanted to do. And, there were times I was mad at God. Why could other people do certain things and not get in trouble? But if I did them, I got in trouble. And I fought that on and off for a number of years till 39 years old. And then, you know, I lost a wife. I lost a daughter for a minute uh, because of that. And, but it was me. I took full responsibility for that. I owned every single fucking bit of that. I, wish things had been different. There were some good things I did during those periods of times as well, and making sure my daughter got a good private education and providing her with opportunities and, trips and just life and having great moments together. Um, but there was definitely, I know that there was damage that I caused, and I've done my best over the years since to try to repair that damage, to make amends for that damage, and just move forward with my life and accept that that's what I did. And I had to learn to, I had to learn it was not an easy thing. And I think it is a tough thing for a lot of us, that to learn to forgive yourself. I had to forgive myself. And of all the people, I was probably the last one, I asked a number of people to forgive me and see how I could make things right. But the last person that I asked was me, and that had to be pointed out to me that there was one person that I needed to do that with and confront that. So, sharing that kind of stuff, I just want to, you know, hope. I'm laughing with my employee Brendan yesterday. We are so fucking spoiled as Americans, and I truly mean that. We are incredibly spoiled. We have American privilege. We whine about the dumbest shit. And oh yeah, my day was so tough yesterday. You know what the worst thing that happened to me yesterday was? That I got gum. And because it's so hot here in Arizona, it was really soft gum. And I got it on my tire of my vehicle. I got it on the bottom of my shoe, and I got a little bit of it on the inside of the door of my Corvette. Who's going to feel sorry for me that my Corvette got a little gum on it? No, I would be like anybody else. I'd be fuck you, Troy. That literally yesterday. That was the worst thing that happened to me yesterday. Life is good, but I've been through hard times before, real hard times, and again, the message I just have and just feeling it on my heart this morning is, if you're in a situation like that too, just don't quit. Just don't quit. Give up tomorrow. Just don't give up today. Don't give up today. Keep grinding through. You're still alive. You woke up this morning. You and I, we both woke up. You're watching me right now. You woke up this morning. That means he wants you here still. That means there's something here for you to still do. And let me give you a clue. I should write a book because other people have written books. And I have a little bit of a different take on God's purpose for us. I believe God has a purpose for everyone, but I believe that our purpose is super simple. It's the exact same. God's purpose for me and God's purpose for you is identical, and that is to serve others. Now, what's different is how we go about doing that. That's the mission, in how we help other people. I can help people, with addiction because I've been through it. You've maybe had, some type of abuse that you went through that you can help people that are going through that. Or maybe it's going through a job loss or a broken marriage or whatever it is, and you can help people with that. Or maybe it's just caring for another person and showing that you care. And whether that's, feeding someone, providing food for someone, or whatever, any act of service that I truly believe is what God's purpose for us is to serve others. And you just got to find out what works for you and being able to show that, to be able to demonstrate that that's your mission. How are you going to be of service to others? And I use that in business too. I think having a successful business is finding a way to help others that benefits them first. I put my clients before myself when I was a financial advisor. I could have recommended investments to people that were legal investments, had been approved, but were shitty investments for them, but great investments for me because they had high commissions. And I never recommended that kind of stuff ever. I never took advantage of someone in that way. Not in my entire 24-year career. It wasn't about whether I could do it and get away with it because it was legal. It was about who I am, and that I couldn't live with myself or feel good about doing that. And I loved being a financial advisor for, I thought I was going to do that the rest of my life. And then now doing the consulting and helping people. Well, when I'm helping people with, their moods, their depression, even, that a lot of that's related to testosterone and helping people with that. And I've done that, and they'll bring up other things, or we'll bring up things like the alcoholism or addiction that they'll share with me. So God uses me in my business to also bring people to me that I can help in other ways. So like if you buy a peptide, for example, online, you're not meeting anybody. You're not talking to anybody. That's not happening. I talk to all my clients either by text or by phone calls. And, we share a lot of these things. I've gotten to meet quite a number of clients face to face from across the country. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's an amazing experience. But you're getting someone who cares when they work with me. They're getting someone who cares. They're getting someone who is going to help guide them through the whole process to get the results that they're looking for, uh, and that they can have those conversations with. I think that's what makes me unique in this business and different than other people, and why we've been so successful and continue to be blessed by God in doing this. So it's been absolutely, absolutely amazing. Um, that's what I have for that. That's what I have for that. It's a good place to stop that. So I'm glad I got to share that, and I'm glad you steered me off in that direction a little bit this morning. And that's what the show is, honestly. The show is about what I'm thinking about, how I'm feeling about different things, and trying to digest them and understand them. I'm still trying to digest all of the Epstein stuff right now, because I was MAGA before Trump. Okay. A lot of us were. We were here. Trump was smart enough to identify us and get out in front. Okay. That's how I believe about that. Um, he's done far more good than of things than things I didn't like, both in the first term and then in this term. His first term, my biggest problem with Trump was COVID, that I think he did the best that he could with the advice that he got, but I, it turned out to be wrong. And one of my disappointments was him not at some point saying that, you know what, I listened to these people. I thought, I wasn't sure, it's a pandemic. I'm not a doctor. I wasn't sure how to handle it. And so I relied on these people that were supposed to be experts, and it didn't work out well. And I wish I had gone with my gut instincts, because the dude is great with his instincts, right? And just kind of owned a little bit of it. I wish he had done that, and he never did. And despite not owning that, he was able to get reelected again, and which I voted for him. I'm all for. I voted for him all 3 times. And I'm disappointed now that the administration, that my biggest disappointment right now, and pretty much the only real disappointment I've had so far, is being told that certain things were going to be disclosed to us, that they were going to be released, these files, and that they're sitting on somebody's desk and we don't have them. Now, I don't believe that Trump is implicated in them, because it's real simple and nobody can explain otherwise. If he was really implicated in these files, Biden had access to them. The left did everything they could to destroy Trump personally, through courts, through attacking him business wise, taking him to court. He got shot. Just every way they could, they tried to do that, right? They tried to destroy him. They wanted him not to be able to run. They filed lawsuits. They were using J6, everything to destroy this guy. And they started that prior to his first term, even when he was just running, to destroy him. And they never stopped, and still aren't stopping today. So you're telling me that they had access to the information that a president Any president can declassify any document for any reason they want, and the other people in government don't have to agree, but they have to follow the instructions that Biden, if Trump was implicated in something awful with Jeffrey Epstein, that they wouldn't have released that. Get the fuck out of here. So there's something else. Somebody there is a cover up for somebody else. Is it a cover up because of things the CIA did? Is it a cover up because of other intelligence organizations? Is it a cover up that Jeffrey Epstein was, you know, some kind of informant or something on other people? I don't know, but no president has been as transparent as this president. And the one thing we're not seeing the transparency on now is the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. And I'm not going to abandon Trump over that. I'm just going to be disappointed in that, because you don't always get what you want. It's just like those when they pass a bill, you don't get everything you want. It's about getting what you can at the time and doing the best that you can at the time. And I think with the majorities they have being so slim, they did the best they could with that. And that's something Elon is going to have to like suck up and understand. That's how our government works. We don't have to like it, because I totally agree with him that we need to do more in spending. He's 100% right. But Trump was also 100% right in backing this and getting this done, that it was the best that they could get, and especially with how things are. So yeah, I'm going to keep following that. When there's something real important on that, I'll bring that up too. I'm not going to forget about it. Just so you know where I am on that as a Trump supporter. That, but I'm not somebody who follows people blindly. Just not, and I'm not much of a follower, anyways. I prefer to be in the lead. That's what I have for today. All right. God bless. Appreciate y'all. I'll be back on Monday, and then Leo will be back with me on Wednesday. Back to having the headphones on, see how things work. I'll make sure I don't forget my bottle when I start. You have a great weekend. God bless.